What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living in West Africa. And if you want to know why so many Nigerians hate me right now, then this is the video for you. All right, we are live. We're live. It has been an interesting week, to say the least. I got a chance to see what the internet does when they're upset with you for giving your opinions or explaining your experience in certain countries. I have seen the best of us and the worst of us. Let's just say that. The best of us and the worst of us. The internet is undefeated, number one, but it has been interesting to see the responses. So first of all, for those of you who are new, and first things first, actually, can you all hear me? Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me. We're live on Instagram, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Facebook. Can everybody hear me right now? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, just so I know that you guys can hear me. My connection has been terrible today. So hopefully you guys are getting me clearly and you can hear me, because we got a lot to talk about today. It's been an interesting week. My guy Victor Batista is here. Victor, what's up? What's up, Victor? Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. While we wait for that, there were a few comments already early. Okay, so Miss Shonda E says she can hear me. Great. For those of you on Instagram Live, can you guys hear me? Let me know on Instagram Live if you guys can hear me. All right, Miss P says she can hear me. So a couple things before we get started. So this guy, Al said, because you belong to Mende groups of West Africa, that is their ruler of the North, pure tribalism in that country. They will never learn from their history. There's a lot there. I'm not really sure I fully understand what you mean, but I am part Mende. Also, the Mende tribe did extend to the majority of West Africa at one point in time. It was a larger tribe, just like the Mandingo tribe was a larger tribe. But right now, they're dispersed into smaller tribes. But I don't know what you mean there, but if you could clarify, please do. PH says this topic is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about some things today. I try to be diplomatic and try to be clear in my intent. It's not to bash any country. Listen, I'm trying to get people to make a decision to move to West Africa. So my intent is always going to be to express what to expect, but also that you should come here, right? But I apparently pissed off a lot of people this last week, and we're going to talk about it. I mean, right now, I think we're at almost 900 comments and counting on the video that I posted, and over almost 18,000 views at this point, 17,900 views, and I posted the video on Thursday, so last Thursday. So we're 5 days in, and there's been a pretty interesting reaction. It's across the spectrum. So I'm gonna tell you all about what I said, why I said it, why it is one of those situations where I said what I said, as the prolific Nene Links once said. I said what I said. I meant everything that I said, and I was expressing my truth, and it was actually based on, I was just doing a weekly vlog, as I always do. I always do my weekly vlogs, but with this weekly vlog, it apparently got under some people's skin. The funny thing is, it was a two-part vlog. The second part to that vlog, which I put out on Sunday, has a fraction of the comments and the views, and it was completely positive. It was about the food that I ate, my experience, all the different meetings that I had, and all those people who had all that energy for me explaining my Airbnb experience didn't have any energy for the positive video. I mean, the reason why I said why so many Nigerians hate me is because there was a lot of comments on that video that were saying that I was foolish, I'm an idiot, I'm a poor American. A couple F-bombs were dropped at me for sure. People said that I was naive. And then you had the other end of the spectrum. You had some Ghanaians jumping in to try to also, bad faith ones, not all Nigerian, not all Ghanaians, and also not all Nigerians had a bad response. But there were some Ghanaians jumping in to then use it as an opportunity to discuss their disdain and their dislike for Nigeria instead of sticking to the topic at hand and discussing the video. And so then you have these threads going on now where different people from different countries are arguing with each other, all about things that had nothing to do with actually what was said in the video. And of course, you have this other instance where you have people who saw the thumbnail, saw the headline, didn't watch the video, whether in its entirety or even in, let's say half of it, to get the full gist of what I was talking about. And so what you have is you have some folks that are jumping and drawing conclusions without actually having watched the video. So 800 comments in, I've gone through and I've vetted a few and I've responded to a few. And I have a lot of thoughts that I want to go over, but I wanted to make sure some folks are here. It would look like we've hit a critical mass. There's a good number of people on YouTube here now. There's a couple people on Instagram Live. But first, let me just acknowledge some of the people who are here, just to say what's up to everybody. So JR's here. Shout out to JR. As I mentioned before, Victor's here. Shout out to Victor. Ms. Shonda is here. C. Upshaw is here. What's up? What's up? James Bond said you can hear me loud and clear. While A says, yes, you can hear me. JR says we are all one, but some people are not ready. True. Hearts of a glass ball. I saw you in the comments. There was a lot of conversations back and forth with you in the comments on that video. JR says, good, I love it. JR says, because people hate anything positive. Okay. Hearts of a glass ball is because you mentioned Ghana and in it. Yeah, because what I did is I mentioned leaving Ghana and going to Nigeria. And anytime you do that, you get these two groups going nuts. But really, that's what happened. I flew out of Accra Airport, and that was the first part of the vlog. And then I was in Nigeria for the second part of the vlog. So that was what I was explaining. But some people took it as me comparing Ghana to Nigeria, which I haven't done yet, and I will be, but I haven't done that yet. Serafina says, hello, Joe and everyone. What's up? Flower Child said, I'm here for the theatrics. There aren't going to be any theatrics. I'm just going to talk about my experience and where I was with this whole thing and what I said to piss so many people off. So JR says they attacked me for liking Nigeria. Well, Hearts of a Glass Ball says, once you mention Ghana in any conversation involving Nigeria, they get very insecure and very angry. I'm used to that. Anne-Marie Harding says, hello, Joe. What's up? What's up? Rudy says, watching you from London, brother. Shout out to you, Rudy, watching from London. Victor says, love seeing you bring your dreams to fruition. Thanks, Victor. I appreciate that. So Victor knows me from New York. I've known Victor for a minute. Victor and I went to the same college, different years, but he was in school with a lot of my friends. And so I know Victor for a while. So Victor's known me long before this YouTube journey, but like I was talking about moving to Africa and the whole thing. So shout out to Victor for following the journey. And Rudy says, can't wait to hear what you have to say. Manelik says, what's up, Joe? Sorry, I'm late. No worries. You haven't missed anything as of yet. We're about to get into it. JR says, my guest house is yours to say when you come back. I got you. Well, I appreciate that. And I may just take you up on that offer. And Eleanor is watching from London. Thanks. Shout out to Eleanor. Shout out to you. Thank you. The Instagram live has been quiet. I see no comments on the Instagram live. Oh, okay. I'm lying. There are a few people on here. I see it now. I couldn't see it before with some issues. You guys can hear me though, right? On Instagram live, just let me know. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me because we're about to get into this. King Wilfred, shout out to you. Ghana Bound is on. Shout out to you guys. All right. So watching from the UK, Wayne Ellington. All right, cool. So here's what I said. Basically, as you guys know, I actually did a live the day after I landed in Nigeria, right? And I expressed some of the challenges that I was having that day. And in that live, right, as I was talking about it, I was very diplomatic, right? The problem is power went out 4 times during that live, right? So it couldn't even be like I could hide the situation that was happening as it was happening. And that was day 2 after the first day was literally a disaster. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong as part of my check-in process. Now that is not indicative of Nigeria, the country. That was indicative of the people who were managing that Airbnb. But it was really poor mismanagement, and they had 5 people that were a part of that Airbnb experience. So I reached out to the host. The host gave me one person's number. Oh, that person isn't working right now. So there's another person, and then there was another person, and I'm communicating with 3 of the different 4 people. And a bunch of things went wrong. And so in that live, you know, it was still fresh. So I tried to do my best to be objective and just explain, like, this is what was going on. And here was my impression the first 24 hours being here. And it took a while for me to edit some videos, and I had other videos to put out. So I didn't put out the Nigeria 2-week vlog until last week and then this past weekend. And so as part of that process, I did it in 2 parts. The first part was going to be about that experience, checking into the Airbnb and what happened, so that other people can learn from that and decide to do something different, right? The second part of the experience was all the good food that I had and all the different restaurants that I went to, right? And so there was always going to be 2 parts to that vlog, but because it's 2 completely different topics and conversation, I split it into 2 parts. But man, did people jump to conclusions, and were people ready to tell me a piece of their mind? And there was a lot of people who told me a piece of their mind. And there's a lot of opinions out there. I will tell you, as I mentioned before, I was called poor on many occasions. I noticed that is one of the best insults for people online who are defending their country, is to call somebody poor. The assumption was that I picked an Airbnb that was cheap, and so I got cheap service for a cheap Airbnb. There was also the assumption that I went to Nigeria with a motive in mind to trash the country, right? Like that was my plan. There was also this assumption that I hold America to this really high standard, and America is the great country and Nigeria is a trash country. That was the way people were assuming I was coming at this. And all of you who know me, who've been following for a while, you know that there's a reason why I left the United States. There are many reasons why I left the United States. I live in West Africa for a reason, right? So I have challenges with the United States, and especially what happened with this mass shooting this last weekend, it's just further proves my point as to why I didn't want to have my main country of residence be the United States. I mean, I'm always going to have a passport. I have property that I co-own there. And so I am going to still maintain some assets in the United States, but I don't have all my eggs in that basket. And my goal with this channel is to try to get other people to think the same way, right? But people who watch that video, these were some of the assumptions that they made. There was also this other assumption that I don't know how to use Airbnb, and I don't know what I'm doing, right? I've been an Airbnb host. I've actually been an Airbnb super host. So if anyone knows how to use Airbnb, it's me. I've used Airbnb in Cuba, although I wasn't the one who booked the Airbnb. I was in an Airbnb in Cuba. Victor was actually there, so Victor knows. We were in Cuba together when Cuba first opened up to the United States. I've used an Airbnb in Ghana. I've used 4 Airbnbs in Ghana before. I've used Airbnb in England. I've used Airbnb in Los Angeles. I've used Airbnb in New York. I've used Airbnb in many different places, and I've been an Airbnb host. So I've done about 15 or 16 different Airbnbs as a guest, and I've done 7 or 8 Airbnbs as a host. So I know Airbnb. So the assumption that I didn't know Airbnb was interesting, right? Like I don't know anything about Airbnb. So there were a lot of assumptions being made that I'm just some ignorant American that's here to trash somebody's country, and then also don't know anything about the world, right? let's be very clear. When you book an Airbnb, before you book it, you know, they give you a radius, right, as to where the area, the general area of where you are. It's about a mile radius of the general area of where you're going to be, right? So I chose Victoria Island because I know a lot of businesses are there, and a lot of people from the diaspora stay in Victoria Island when they go to Nigeria, right? And so I saw, obviously you have images of the inside of the property. There were no images of the outside on purpose because of how the outside looks. But there are images of the inside of the property. They said it's a dual floor. The other people who had written comments mentioned that it was a great experience. There was a great workstation. And just like all the amenities were everything that I wanted, right? It was $102 a night. Right. So it was on a little bit more of an expensive side, but it wasn't as expensive as a hotel. And since I was staying for 14 days, I didn't want to stay at $180 a night hotel for 14 days. But I also didn't want to try to stay at like a $20 a day hostel because that was not going to be comfortable for me. So I chose the $100 a night, spent about $1,400. So I spent that up front. Now, let me take a step back. Once I had the radius of where it was, I reached out to 4 different people that I know who are Nigerian, who have either lived in Nigeria all their life and live on mainland Nigeria, but have worked in VI or work around VI, or they've been Nigerians that have spent most of their life in Nigeria and have lived in other places, just because then they know what maybe might be comfortable, or people who know me. So I spoke to 4 different people, and they all said that area of VI is a great area in VI, which it is. Here's the thing. The building that I was staying in is the old federal building, the federal housing building. And it's not one building, it's many buildings. There's an A, B, C, and D block. And then each of those blocks has a multitude of buildings in them. Welcome to Sierra Leone, lights go out. So Nigeria is not the only country where the lights go out. I mentioned this, it happens in Sierra Leone too, but it will be coming back on in a second. Hopefully they're turning the generator on. So I had already booked it, but when I sent it to the people that I know, they had all mentioned to me like, yeah, that's the old federal building. You know, I had thought about moving there, haven't really been there in a while, but a lot of people who work on VI live there. So they figured it'd be fine, right? And so I was not aware though of what I was getting myself into. So when I got there, actually, you know what? Before I get into the rest of the story, there's a lot of comments. There's a lot of comments. So I want to make sure to address all the comments. And why is the power still out here? Usually the power is back on by now, but I don't hear the generator, which means that the person who's on it is probably in the bathroom right now, right as the power went out. So let me really quickly get to some of the comments, because there's a lot of comments since I started telling this story. So Lady Keen, it's Joannis without the H, Lady Keen. But she said, don't give this much attention. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but none will come near you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have this conversation though, because I think it's a lesson for a lot of people on intercountry politics and also how things go on the internet, right? I think it's just important for people to hear about this and also to hear where I'm coming from, because many of those people who watch those videos are joining the live, and it might be important for them to hear my perspective live and then also be able to communicate with me directly. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. I promise you guys, I am not hurt or upset by this. I'm one of those people who can't understand why people let people on the internet affect their mood. I'm just expressing how it went and what I saw and what I viewed. Now, what did anger me a bit was how the Airbnb situation was handled when I got there, because of how much it cost and because it was Superhost. So let me get back to answering some of these questions, and I'll get back to the story. JR says limited vocabulary. What do you mean by that? eSoft Studio says, what can you say about this? Leaving Ghana for Nigeria, bad experience in Nigeria. What can I say about this? I think I just said it, right? But let me know what you mean. While A says, wow, these people clearly didn't watch your videos. You have even mentioned considering making Nigeria your base. They need to settle down. Yeah, so that was the thing, right? I was going to Nigeria to decide on if I wanted to live there full time, because I am I have a client there for my full-time job. Wow, the lights are still out, which is crazy. And it's hot as hell here. So Sierra Leone has light issues. Let me tell you guys something. Sierra Leone has light issues too. Nigeria is just a much bigger country, and so with a much better GDP, so you would expect it to not have so many light issues. But we could talk about that in a second because I have my own theories as to partly why that is. But yeah, so Wiley is clear. Like, yeah, I have talked about potentially making Nigeria my home, and why it's a big startup environment and startup community that I'm definitely thinking about potentially moving there to be a part of. But I was just expressing what actually happened to me that day. So let me see. Okay, so yeah, Lady Keen is just saying more of the same. Victor says, duh, damn, you're definitely doing something right if they're coming for you. All the people, LOL, the internet. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. I do say okay, cool a lot. So when you are on the internet frequently and you're live frequently, you start to notice that you have habits that you say in your speech. I say a lot and I say okay, cool a lot. It has been pointed out to me. I have no problem working on that. I am working on it. It is what it is. See, there goes another but I don't take it personally. It is what it is. Okay, cool. There's an okay, cool too. Okay, so these are very lame assumptions. Hearing you speak about them, I saw the Airbnb you used in Ghana and it was lit. Pay them no mind, bro. So yeah, I mean, I did stay at a couple of Airbnbs in Ghana. And so I know how to seek out an Airbnb. And this should be a lesson to everyone. So let's start with that, because that was one of the things that came up, saying that I was being cheap. So my thing that I always say is you should start with an Airbnb that is a super host, because a super host means that they have had a certain number of people who have booked their place in a confined period of time. Within a 3-month span, I think you have to have like a certain number of bookings. The thing about a superhost though, is you can be a superhost, but have 5 different listings, right? So you can be a superhost because of one of your listings that people really, really liked, but you can have 4 other trashy listings, right? I'm not saying that this listing was trash, because it wasn't. The inside was actually fairly nice for the most part, right? There was some cosmetic issues, but the big issue was like the elevator didn't work. So, I had to carry my suitcases up the stairs, whatever. I was on the 2nd floor. It wasn't that bad. But the elevator, you expect the elevator to work, right? There were holes in the elevator when the elevator did work. The garbage was a big situation because the building was built in the 70s. So there were just a lot of just different issues with the building that I didn't even talk about in this last video, because I didn't want to be just complaining in the video, but I was just expressing what happened in that situation. So for those of you who are new to this situation, understand this: $102 a night, $1,400 for 2 weeks. You're expecting that when you get to your location, you check right in, right? Because any Airbnb anywhere around the world, and if you are an Airbnb host, you know that they give you like instructions for how to be an Airbnb host if you want to look it up. There's all kinds of stuff within the host platform that tells you what you should do to make it a good experience. And I myself have listened to many interviews of the founders of Airbnb, right? And so I can't believe the light's still not on. Shout out to Sierra Leone. So anyway, so I know that you look for a host that's a super host. That's number one. That's the bare minimum. You need to be a super host. Number 2, they need to have recent, if they're a super host across many different locations, for that location that I'm looking at, they need to have recent good reviews. And they had 3 good reviews within a 4-week span, right? Now, so both of those things I took into consideration, plus asking people about the location and all the people who tell me that the location was the right location, right? Because it's VI and everybody who I knew. And like I said, 4 different Nigerians. I didn't ask Americans living in Nigeria. I didn't ask my Sierra Leonean ex who lives in Nigeria. I asked Nigerians, right? And so they all told me this area is fine. And they were right, because for the most part, Victoria Island is expensive, but it's nice. It's a nice place. The issue with this building is it used to be a federal building before everybody moved to Abuja, right? All the federal employees, the senators, etc. That's all happening in Abuja now, right? Lagos is no longer the capital. So that building apparently was abandoned at some point in time. It was abandoned at some point in time. Somebody, I guess, purchased it privately and then remade it so that other people can move in. But and apparently they also, quote unquote, what I understood is that they remodeled it. So I don't know how bad it looked when it was abandoned, but it definitely doesn't look remodeled. There's like weather damage on the outside and all of that, and the buildings are really old. So why I say all that is because I had a picture in my mind of what the inside looked at and what looked like, and also what Victoria Island was. So when I get there, it's 11 p.m. at night. I get to the place, and the security is pretty aggressive, right? I mean, the security is just trying to make sure that people are secure in the compound. So they check your trunk, and so I'm like, all right, is there a part of VI that's actually a little bit not that nice, and it kind of looks like the projects a little bit in the US. Like I've lived in the projects in the US before. That's why I can say it looks like the projects. Like I lived in Taft Projects on 112th Street in Madison in Harlem. So having lived in the projects before, I can compare this to that, especially because the elevators are very similar to the projects in the US, and the facade of the buildings felt very much like the projects. And so even all the way down to the courtyard and how the courtyard upkeep looked. So I'm coming to this building and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I did get scammed. Maybe I didn't do enough research. So I get to the door, I get to security first, and security, you know, I tell them I'm going to X apartment number. They said, yeah, just go upstairs, whatever. So I go upstairs, and I'm like, all right, well, how do I get in? Like I check under the mat, there's no key there. I see a lockbox next to the apartment. So I'm like, okay, there's a lockbox. All right, so let me reach out to the host. Meanwhile, let me just let you guys know, immediately after booking it, which is just something else you should do, is you should reach out to the host and say, is there anything I need to know about the check-in process? Which I did say, which I did share in that video, that I reached out to them. They completely ignored that. Because they ignored that, I just assumed that security was gonna have the key and that they would have talked to the security. They did not. So when I got there, I'm going back and forth for 30 minutes, standing outside of the apartment with all of my suitcases, right? Standing outside of an apartment of a place I don't know in a country that is not my country, right? Standing outside of an apartment for 30 minutes, trying to communicate via the app with the host. And the host is telling me, I don't have the keypad, the key, what is it? The lockbox keypad. So you got to reach out to this person. I reach out to that person. I don't have it. Let me check with this person. So there's like this telephone game. Finally, after 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, I get the key, the lock for the keypad. So I get the key out. I go in. I turn on the light switches, and it's as dark as it is right now, right in here. And so I'm like, what's going on? I read the thing. The thing says that there's light 24/7. That's what people have been writing in the comments. There's always light. The generators are always on. These are what the comments had said. So I'm expecting there to be lights, right? And so I go through the process of reaching back out to them again. Hey guys, there's no light. The guy says to me, oh yeah, you got to find the power box, whatever you guys call that, the circuit breaker, to turn on the circuit. So, but they weren't, they're texting it to me, right? So to try to talk me through texting it was a challenge. But anyway, I figured it out, turned it on. All right, great. We got light. Perfect. I ordered food. The food came. I didn't eat all of it. I go to put the food in the fridge, and boom, the smell that hit me that came from that fridge, you guys have no idea. I guess somebody had like sour cream, or it was some white creamy substance that somebody was eating, left it in the fridge, and they also spilled something. They probably had like a soda or something laying down, and it spilled. So they left that just red soda or juice just spilled all over on the inside of the shelves and stuff. So of course you're spending $1,400 for this space for 2 weeks. You're $102 a night or so. You have this issue checking in. Then you don't have light. Then you have this issue with the fridge. So like I had to air the fridge out. I had to clean it, right? So that I could put my food in there. Then of course the Wi-Fi was a whole nother thing, because then the Wi-Fi didn't work. So, okay, so all of that happens, right? And I'm like, all right, that was a lot, but whatever, it is what it is. I'm going to sleep. Okay. Oh, before I go to sleep though, I write them and they said, first thing tomorrow morning, the cleaner's going to come there. We're really apologetic. That meant that they didn't change the sheets. They didn't clean the floors. They didn't clean the fridge. They didn't clean the sinks. They didn't clean the bathrooms. They didn't empty the trash, right? So the bathroom trash had people's bathroom trash in it. So imagine what that is, right? The kitchen trash had people's kitchen trash. So imagine what that is. And by the way, the last person who had commented was a little over a month before I was there. So it was about a month of time, 3 weeks to a month of time, where the last person that was there, that place didn't get cleaned that entire time. Okay? It didn't get cleaned that entire time. So for me to reach out to them and for them to tell me, sorry, here's what happened, our cleaner bailed on us last minute. I'm like, you had a month to have this place cleaned. You're telling me your cleaner bailed on you last minute. You've also known for 2 weeks before I got there that this place was booked. So that was another frustration, right? So of course I was expressing that first day on the live. And then I also mentioned some of that in the video. So I mentioned all of this because that really happened. And I also mentioned it to tell you guys, when you're booking a place, do everything you can to over communicate. Make sure you have all the details, especially when you're going to another country that is a country you've never been to before. And so that's the insight that I would give there. But yeah, so when the cleaner came the next day, by the way, I had to tell him how to clean because apparently it wasn't their normal cleaner and they didn't hire like a cleaning service. They just hired a guy who cleans, I guess. So some guy they just hired. So this guy came there. He's a terrible cleaner. The steps are like the staircase where it's like a floating staircase. So like you could see through the staircase. This guy is sweeping the dirt. This guy is sweeping the dirt off the stairs into the middle of the staircase, falling all over the couch. I'm like, my man, you cannot clean that way. I'm walking him through how to clean. So I have to like supervise the cleaning process, right? Then I get the hours of when the power is going to be on and when the generators are going to be on. And it's completely different from the hours in which the actual power and the generators were on. So like I woke up that morning expecting to work. The cleaner didn't come. He was supposed to come first thing around 8 a.m. He didn't come until almost 1. But so I had to be there to work. I was working out of that place until then. But what happened for me, unfortunately, was because I had no power for about 4 hours in that morning, I could not get online to do any of my normal work, like YouTube related stuff or anything else I do, like my full-time day job. And so all of that were things that I dealt with in that first day with that Airbnb. That is the definition of a disaster, right? I mean, now, obviously, it could have been much worse, but like for the amount of money I was paying, that is not the service level you should get. I get it. If I was doing a $25 a day, I can rough it out. By the way, I can live anywhere without electricity, without hot water. Don't think that I'm just some kind of bougie American. I can do that. I've done it plenty of times here in Sierra Leone. In fact, I'm sitting in a hot room right now with no AC on right now. So I will adapt based on the amount of money I'm spending, if that makes sense. If I'm spending $25 a day, which is what I'm paying to live where I'm staying right now because a friend of a friend is doing a favor for me. If the lights go out like this, I'm just gonna laugh at it, right? Like whatever, it's $25 a day. I'm not paying $100 a day to deal with this. If you're gonna pay $100 a day, you're expecting that there's light 24/7, right? I mean, let's be honest. So anyway, that was what I was expressing. And by the way, the power was inconsistent the whole time I was in that place. It got a little bit more stable towards the end, but what they ended up telling us is that they don't put the generators on because the power can be out the entire day from time to time or for many hours throughout the day. And so this particular compound decided that they weren't going to turn the generators on the entire time the power is out on the island. They said because there were challenges with fuel in the country, they were not going to turn the generators on because they didn't want to use up fuel. Now, mind you, as you guys know, Nigeria is one of the biggest exports of oil and oil producers in West Africa. Actually, they are the biggest in West Africa, one of the biggest on the entire continent, right? And so that to me was a little bit puzzling not understanding how a country is an oil producer, but the fuel is not available. And I know part of that was the cost, right? The building was trying to save on cost. So I get that. But like, listen, man, if somebody's paying $100 a night, you're expecting that you're going to be able to get that generator and you're going to have consistent light, right? And then here's my other thing I'll say about Nigeria not having power, because there's a lot of people who talk about it, especially when you have this Ghanaian, Nigerian back and forth. Let's be very clear, right? Nigeria as a country is a country of over 200 million people. And we don't know what the total number is, but it might be like 230 million. The United States has around 320 million people, right? The United States has multiple nuclear power plants, has multiple different complex grids going on. That's why most of the United States, except for Texas, you see Texas has power issues, but most of the United States has ongoing power, right? Nigeria currently, as far as I understand, doesn't have a nuclear power system currently, not yet. And so that can explain why it's so difficult to have that much power. You're going to have a lot of strain on a grid when you have a country of that size with that many people, and then you have a city like Lagos, which has about 30 million people, right? So there is going to be a lot of strain on the system. It is what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just that is the reason for that. And so that you got to understand that. So for me, I understand that. And I understand that's the issue. And they're working on fixing the power. And many people I talk to in Nigeria will say that they have other things that they're working on. But that's the reason why the power goes out. That's fine. It is what it is. It's up to the individual buildings to make sure they have a generator or they have solar to ensure that if they're renting it out to people, that those people who are spending hundreds or thousands of dollars in their place have what is necessary to be able to live for the cost that they're spending. Okay, there are a lot of companies, a lot of comments. There's a lot of comments. So let me go through some of the comments. First, let me start with the Instagram comments. No, people must be forthcoming regardless of the cost. Yes, I agree. So that's the Instagram comments. There wasn't a ton of Instagram comments here. Most people were just joining and watching. All right, so let's go through some of the YouTube comments, because there's a lot here. I'm not going to put up anything where people are disparaging each other. So just be very clear. I'm not going to do that because I know that happens a lot in these comments, and there's a bunch of people on the live right now, by double the normal amount of people who are normally on this live. So I'm not going to engage in that, but we are going to talk. All right. So, all right, there's a lot of comments. So let me try to get through some of these really quickly. My guy, Gerald Spear Warrior, who I met recently here in Sierra Leone, has alerted me to the comments. The comments are crazy. So I'm just trying to like comb through them to make sure we are staying as civil as possible. Serafina said, Joe, you shared your personal experience, and that should not make you a referee between Nigeria and Ghana. I agree. I am not the referee between Nigeria and Ghana. Each country has their own pros and cons, just like every country. The United States, by the way, for those of you who think that I'm some like America apologist, an America guy, I do have an American citizenship. I am grateful for the life that has been afforded to me by American companies and for my parents and what they were able to provide for us being an American citizen. But I am not blind to the challenges the United States has. It has many, far too many to list, and that's a whole nother conversation. So just be clear, it has its pros and cons. UK does, Canada does, whatever. So do Nigeria and Ghana. They both have their pros and cons. And I've done it over the year of the things that I love about Ghana, some of the challenges I've had with Ghana and some of my solutions. And I'm doing it now with Nigeria since I was only there for a couple of weeks, but like some of the things that I experienced. So just know that I'm trying to be fair. And again, I want people to move here, but I also need you to know what the situation is going to be. Like, for instance, I'm in Sierra Leone. You got to know that light is an issue. And so if this is going to be a problem for you, then you're going to have to figure out how to make sure that you're going to be comfortable if you want to move here. EO says, I'm Nigeria. You did not bash Nigeria. You just shared your experience. Okay, fair. I appreciate that. And I would like to think so, but it seems as though a lot of people don't agree with that. But I thank you. I appreciate that. Spicy Williams says, look at what's, all right, I'm not going to go with that. Spicy Williams, you being spicy today. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say what you said. Uh, Christabella says, it's unfortunate that a lot of people haven't seen your previous videos. You've been honest about your challenges in both Ghana and Sierra Leone. I have been. So some of the comments on the Nigeria video was like, go back to your little, somebody even used the word shithole country. I'm like, yo, you guys like Trump, huh? You got like I got a big Trump fan here. Somebody said, go back to your little shithole country, Sierra Leone, right? So let's be very clear. Like I said, every country has its challenges. Sierra Leone has a light issue. Nigeria has a light issue. One thing I will say, not to compare the countries, but Ghana has some light issues. Don't get me wrong, but they are a little bit more stable with their light. But there's other countries too. South Africa does load sharing, right? So they have certain hours in which the light goes out. This is not exclusive to certain countries. A lot of countries on the continent have this challenge. It just is what it is. But what I experienced in Nigeria was mostly specific to the situation at the Airbnb. But that second vlog that I did explicitly explained that I had a great time and I had a lot of good food. And so I just want you guys to know that it wasn't all bad. All right, cool. So iTuber12 says, pay your utilities, Joe, because the power went out. I actually did $40, as a matter of fact, for the power just 2 days ago. So that should have lasted me for about a week. So it's not that I didn't pay it, it's that the generator is not on. Usually I can hear the generator, it's not on. So I don't know what the situation is. So Spicy Williams, I think you're talking to me, right? You're saying I talk too much. So here's one. Okay, here's Spicy. So Spicy, I like the name. So Spicy saying you just talk too much. Why must you talk shit about Africa? Why? This is motherland. Just swallow your pride. So, and look, again, I understand that people get very offended if they hear anything that seems like it's critical of your home country. I get it. I understand it. I even sometimes get that feeling when I hear people talk negatively about Sierra Leone. I do. I sometimes get that feeling. And so I understand why you feel the way you feel. But Spicy, I just explained. I still think I might move to Nigeria. It's possible that I might move to Nigeria. The issue that I have are the issues that I had, right? And so what I know now is that I'll have to insulate myself, right? Like if I move in, I'll probably move into a building that I know is gonna keep a generator or has solar 24 hours so that I can continue to use it. Now, if I book an Airbnb, what I'll do is I now know people who have spaces and they're on Airbnb. So I'm just gonna reach out to those people first and not even just book through, and then still book through Airbnb because that's the platform that they use. But now I know people there, so I know better places to book and how to book. And I also can find more cost-effective places with some of the same amenities that I'm looking for. So I'll definitely do that. But Spicy, I'm just telling you, this is my experience. And by the way, I do my best to sugarcoat some of the challenges here, but not, I don't want to say sugarcoat. I don't want to just complain, right? I want you to understand, like if you're moving, and just so everyone's clear, because there's a lot of new people on here. I see over 100 people on the live, right? For those of you who don't know me, my purpose of this channel is to help explain to people what it's like to move to Africa from the United States or from the West, and what kinds of things you might need to think about, right? And a big part of it is still trying to get people to move. But what I realized is that when I was doing research, when I was planning to move to Ghana, all people did was talk about the good things. And they didn't at all mention some of the challenges that you can expect. And what ends up happening is people move to West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Mali, whatever. They come for 3 months expecting it to be like what they saw on YouTube videos, and then they leave. And so that actually has more of a negative impact than it would if they would have had the right information, would have prepped themselves before coming, and then would have come here. So for me, I think it's important to give insight into what is actually happening in real life on the ground here. So I know that was a long explanation, Spicy. Your name is spicy, so I'm sure you got a spicy response. But I hope that that answers that's an answer to what you were saying. Oh, shout out to my sister Zainab who just joined from Texas. I don't know. This might be your first time on the live. Shout out to you. What's up, Zainab? All right. So CJG says greetings from New York. Some people cannot handle the truth. They like to sugarcoat plus take things personally. Telling the truth will help others. I would not want to live in a place like that. Yucky. Okay. So look, I'm sure other apartments in that place were nice because other people live there and they take care of it and maintain it. So the inside of the apartments are nice. And by the way, I saw all kinds of different people there. I saw families, like Indian families, who I can tell were obviously immigrants from India, right? I also saw like Nigerian, like college students or college age students living there. And I also saw working professionals who walk out of that building in suits every day as well. So there's a wide variety of different people who live in those buildings. But they knew before they moved in, I'm sure, what the buildings were like. I just didn't. So it was just a shock to me when I got there. That's all I'm saying on the outside. EO says Africans are very territorial about their countries in general, which can be good and a bad thing. Listen, country pride is important. I think it's important to have country pride, but I also think it's important to understand what challenges your country has. I represent for Sierra Leone as much as I possibly can, but I also know Sierra Leone does have some of its challenges. But if somebody's planning to move here, I'd be willing and open to talk to you about what you can expect moving here, and that's what I do, right? So I've done it on my lives. I'm doing it right now, right? You can expect that sometimes light can go out. And if you don't have a generator, it can be like this. So a couple of my friends who live here live in apartments or houses that don't have generators. So when the light goes out like this, they just have to make sure that all of the devices have been charged, including their MiFi. They have to have a MiFi that's been charged so they can stay online and be on the internet and do whatever they need to do to entertain themselves when there's no light. And sometimes there can be no light for hours at a time, right? So that's something that I'm just being honest, that is a thing. But as long as you have your way around that, or you can afford to stay somewhere that has constant light, then this isn't something you'd have to deal with. So the place that I'm building, the house that I'm building right now in Sierra Leone, is going to have solar power, and that's going to be running no matter what happens with the light. And so I'm not using a generator because those are pretty bad for the environment. So I'm planning to use solar. I know solar has its own issues with the battery. I get it, but it's still better than using a gen. Okay, JR says, people on comments had limited vocabulary. Don't mind them. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, let's see, what else? Rudy says, I'd be equally pissed to pay such an amount for Airbnb and come to find the fridge with stale yogurt and algae inside. Not worth it. Yeah, so that was the thing, right? It was like I said, if I was paying $25 a night, I don't know what to expect in the fridge. I might have some visitors, meaning roaches, lizards, whatever. If I'm paying $20 a night, I'm fine with living with some bugs. Because when you're paying a little in Africa, right? Sometimes you live with some unexpected in visitors, right? Like, it's not for the faint of heart. If you're scared of like spiders, or you're scared of roaches and stuff, or ants, then like if you're deathly afraid of them, then some certain parts of West Africa are not the place for you, unless you can really afford to be in a pristine, really, really high-end building, and you can spend $1,000 plus per month for where you stay. Depending on what you spend, you're going to be living with some bugs sometimes, right? And that's fine, right? I'm not that guy that cares that much. But if I'm spending $102 a night, I can't be dealing with a fridge like that and the situation that I dealt with to check in. iTuber says, nothing to work on, keep doing your thing. This is for when I kept saying earlier, and when I kept saying, what's the other thing I say? Okay, cool. That was the other thing I say a lot. Moving on. EO says, I'm Nigerian. You did not bash Nigeria, just constructive criticism. I think I might have already said that. Okay. Molly says, I've seen a lot of YouTubers bash Nigeria, and they haven't gotten such a backlash. On the contrary, Nigerians even agreed with them. Yeah, I mean, it probably depends on who's sharing the message, right? Apparently, I've heard that if Caucasians come to the continent, in some cases have shared their experience, some people have said that they haven't gotten the same kind of backlash, whereas if maybe a Black American does, sometimes they do. It just happens to be that way. I don't know why, and really to me it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that I express what it is that you need to know, because that's really what I'm here to do. I'm here to help other people make the transition from the West to West Africa, right? That's really the goal. And so whatever else comes along with it happens. I know a lot of people are saying I'm doing clickbait and I'm just trying to get views. I did not know that that video was going to get that many views. All right. I really didn't. I did that video like I do every other video, right? There's a lot going on in the vlog. So I pick out the topics that make the most sense to cover in that particular element of the vlog. And that's what I title the video with. And that's what I put on the thumbnail, right? Obviously, you do things to optimize for the platform, right? So there are certain things you do with your thumbnail and with your title of the video to optimize for YouTube. Of course, I'm a marketer. I work in advertising. I have to understand how to utilize these platforms. But to think that my goal was to try to get to 20,000 views on this video or to try to go viral with this video. If I wanted to go viral with this video, there were many other things I could have done. Trust me, there are many other things I could have done, many other things I could have said. There are things that I'm not even saying now because it's not appropriate and it's not helpful, right? It doesn't add to the conversation. But very many people thought that that was the purpose, right? Even for today's live, obviously, I wanted as many people to join the live as possible because there were many people in those comments. And so, yes, of course, I did say why so many Nigerians hate me. And a lot of people got upset about that thumbnail saying Nigerians are loving people. And a lot of people are. I was very welcomed by so many different Nigerians. However, those comments would say something different. There are a few people who had a lot of things to say. So, of course, I made sure that I put that as the thumbnail because I wanted you guys to join the live so that we could have this discussion, an open discussion about this. So, and obviously it works because we have over 100 people on the live today. And usually the live stream usually has about max 35 people, 45 people. So clearly what I did today worked for the number of people to join. All right. Ms. P says, I say, okay, cool a lot when I'm talking to my friends. Good. So I'm not the only one. JR says, Nigeria is a main tech and startup in Africa. Don't worry, you'll do well in Nigeria. I appreciate that. So I do know that to be true. So some of the biggest companies coming out of Africa came out of Nigeria, right? So like Flutterwave, which is having its own issues. Jumia, which is the company you guys knew I worked for, which we're not going to get into the whole Jumia thing, but I worked at Jumia for a little while. That was founded in Nigeria. Paystack is another big company that was founded in Nigeria. So Nigerian startups do really well. They also have YouTube, Google, Facebook, all have headquarters there. Amazon is going to open a headquarters in Nigeria. So for sure, it is a big tech startup hub, and it will continue to be. So I would definitely tell you guys that that is a big part of why I'm thinking about moving there and why I would say it's a very viable place to live. I just was expressing my situation with that Airbnb. But yeah, so just to be clear, for more context for everybody who want to understand why I'm thinking about Nigeria and what are some of the positives of Nigeria, that is one of the big ones. It is the tech startup hub in West Africa. The only company that chose to go anywhere else was Twitter. And as some of you guys might know, Twitter has their headquarters in Ghana. But otherwise, most big tech startups do put their headquarters in Nigeria, at least for West Africa. Then you have East Africa, which you have Kenya, and then you have in Southern Africa and South Africa, of course, is where some of the others go. CJG says, who wants to live in a place where the lights go off on a regular basis? You know, it depends on what other things you're getting out of that place, right? So I just talked about some of the benefits in Nigeria. I can talk about some of the benefits of living in Sierra Leone. I'm a dual citizen here. And because Sierra Leone is like, it's like at the ground floor, 20 years from now, the property that I own and everything that I do now at the price that I'm able to pay for it will give me a tenfold return in 20 years. So it's like being able to be at the United States 61 years into America's existence. If you think about all these American dynasties and families who, people who are like 10 generations rich today, it's because in the 1800s, even going back sometimes to the 1700s, those people in the early stages of the United States, or what has become the US, those people started by building their wealth then. So I'm just trying to build generational wealth, and it's much easier for me to do that here than it is to do it in the United States in terms of assets that I can purchase that will be worth so much more 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years from now that I can pass down to the next generations of my family. So for me, it makes sense to be able to be here. And also my parentals, my father is living here since 2014. My mother is planning to retire here next year. And so, for the golden years, it makes sense for me to be close by. So that's why I would live in a place where light goes off on a regular basis. But everyone has their own different reasons. Also, beyond all that, I want to do good and do well. So not only do I want to do well financially, but I want to do good for the people here. We experienced a really terrible civil war for a little over 10 years, and that ripped this country apart. And so many of our best talent has left the country, right? It's called the brain drain. And I've talked about this before. And so what I'm trying to do is help bring some of that talent back so that we can rebuild our country. So when people tell you in the States, go back to your country, you'll be like, all right, peace. I will. Thank you. I will go back to my country. Go back to where you came from. Say, okay, I will. And then you can have a softer landing and you can actually come here and live with some of the creature comforts and build some of the things you want to build. All right, moving on. There's a lot of comments, so let's get through them. No, the place is not good, Joe. Don't sugarcoat it. Just because a lot of people are living there doesn't make it nice. Okay, I think this is EO. I feel like EO is not Nigerian, right? EO, are you Ghanaian? But no, so Nigeria overall has its challenges, as a country, but there's also very many nice places in the country. There's many states. Even Lagos itself has a lot of nice areas, right? Some of them are really expensive, but they're really, really nice areas, right? Victoria Island is a nice area. I was just living in not such a great building. Spear Warrior says, you should have asked your ex. My ex was part of the consideration, but I didn't bring her up here because she's Sierra Leonean, so she doesn't know as much as the Nigerians do. But I did ask her. Of course, she said what the Nigerians said. Victoria Island's great. But yeah, I mean, yeah, she saw the place too, by the way, and she was even upset about it. And, she's coming from Sierra Leone, and so she had a real big issue with a lot of what was happening when she got there too. So my sister Zainab says, love that, doing good and doing well. Yes, that is my life goal. That is my passion, to do good and do well. I believe in responsible capitalism, social capitalism, as they say. I am a capitalist. I'm not a socialist. I am a capitalist. However, I believe in social capitalism, meaning you should not make money at all costs, but you should make money to be able to make an impact. Because unfortunately, power brokers and the people who make decisions are the people who generate the most wealth, right? And so you are going to have to generate some wealth if you want to make some change. All right, EO says, to live a decent lifestyle in Lagos, it's going to cost a lot of money, as much as New York or Los Angeles. In some places it can. Yes, I've heard that. Imo, I think that's how you say your name. I live in the US. I can tell you that you lied on Lagos. Let's be real. You stayed at a cheap hotel. I don't know if this comment was made before or after I explained the Airbnb situation. So maybe you joined a little bit later, but it was $102 a night. So I don't know if you consider that a cheap hotel, but also I told you, I watched the beginning of the live so you could see how I explained how I did my research around the Airbnb and how I know how to do research for an Airbnb. So this is a good example here for anybody watching, right? Of someone making an assumption, right? And that happens a lot online. And so for those of you who are content creators, don't be discouraged by comments where people make assumptions without actually having context. Even when you give the context on the very live that you're on, right? That can still happen. So, but it's fair. I mean, this is what happens on the internet, right? This happens a lot. EO says the people you asked did not advise you well. No, they did. They were right. Victoria Island is a nice place. They just hadn't been to the federal housing building. One of them actually had planned to move into the federal housing building before he moved out of the country. And so he only knew about it how he had heard about it previously, and knowing that the senators and all the like government officials were living there. So he assumed that it was a nice place and had been. Yeah. So here we go. Here's a good comment. Spicy's being spicy. Here we go, Spicy. What do you got for me? Ain't no get money now. So basically, Spicy, in I guess this is Nigerian pidgin. You're saying I have no money, right? How do I want to live a good life in Lego? You see a beards, they pay on make a come bash Niger, giant of Africa, who disagrees should go and hug Transformer. So basically, shock yourself with a Transformer, right? Hug a Transformer. So basically what he's saying is, I don't have any money. I'm poor, and I want to live the good life in Lagos. And look, my beard tells you that I want to live the good life in Lagos, but I'm too broke to live the good life. He's basically saying I have champagne dreams on a beer budget, right? Is that what you're trying to say, Spicy? I said he, sorry, Spicy. I don't know if Spicy is male or female, but Spicy is being spicy. So my friend Spicy, yes, I'm not going to say that I'm rich. I am not going to say that I'm rich because I'm not rich. I'm not rich. And yeah, I'm not rich, but I'm not poor either. I'm not poor. So, but no. You got it all wrong. If you spend $102 a night for a place, you're going to expect a certain amount of service. And you know this in your own country. You know this. There are other places, by the way, let me be very, very clear. There are other places in Lagos, in Victoria Island, where you could spend $89 to $100 a night, and there are great accommodations. So let me also be clear on that too. I do want to mention that for those of you who know, because now I know about those places after talking to some other people, after getting there locally and talking to more and more people. I've learned that there are other places that are even less expensive with better accommodations. So there are plenty of places. Hearts of Glass Ball says, exactly, if the garbage collection was even a problem, just say it as it is, and please don't sugarcoat it. I keep saying a lot of Niger people are used to the rough life and think that standard is normal. Maybe so. I can't really speak to what people are used to and what they have as a standard, because I do know that there are some very fancy and very wealthy Nigerians. I have seen some of the people who I've seen spend the most money I've ever seen being spent have been Nigerians. So I can't say that all Nigerians are used to rough living. I know many are, sure, because it is kind of rough in many parts of in the country, and specifically many parts of Lagos. But I've also seen some people live some very, very fancy high life. I've seen some of those Nigerians in Ghana. I've seen some of those Nigerians at clubs buying 20 bottles for 5 people, which is interesting. Obviously, they're not going to drink all that alcohol. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen it. So yeah, I mean, you probably are right to some extent here, but I don't want to speak for the whole country in that way. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people that might have been it. I think other people are just coming to the conversation with that bias already, thinking that I'm this American with this American accent is coming here to bash our country. Is probably what's happening. Flower Child said the best Airbnb I've stayed was in Cuba for sure. Yeah, we stayed in a really good Airbnb in Cuba. I've stayed in some really nice Airbnbs in a couple of different places, in LA and New York. In Ghana, I stayed in a nice one. You guys might have seen one of the videos I did early on last year where I mentioned the Airbnb that I stayed in. It was a really good Airbnb. So yeah, I've seen a good one in Ghana too. I hope you left a bad review on their Airbnb page. I did. You know, the thing about it was the host himself. The problem is the host is responsible for the people managing it. So it is his problem. The thing is that it wasn't really the host's fault. It is the host's fault because of who he has managing his Airbnb. But it was the people managing it that didn't manage it well. You know what I mean? So the host, it is his fault. And this is the thing, like if you're a host and you have many properties and you have many listings, and then you have managers manage it, you have to make sure that those managers are on point and doing what they're supposed to do. So I did leave a review, a not so nice review, but I didn't go as hard as I could have. because the host did try to somewhat reconcile it. I asked for $300 back, which I don't think is a lot considering the circumstance. They gave me $200 back. I took it and I said, fine, you know what? I'll wash my hands of this, but I am going to give them a not so great review. CJG says people's standards are different. Well, maybe nice to a Nigerian, maybe nice, may not be nice to someone coming from the States or elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because let me tell you this. So after I went to dinner, one of the people who told me about the place hadn't been to the place in a long time, and it was one of my coworkers. He dropped me back off at the federal housing, and the first thing he said was, "Whoa, what happened to this place?" You know, he's a little bit older and he remembers what it was back in the day, and so I think for him, even him, he thought like, "Wow." And I told him how much I was paying. He was like, "Oh man, I wish I would have known what the place was like for what you're paying," you know, because he had a different assumption of what the space was going to be. So, and he, Nigerian, born and raised, you know, he's lived in a couple other places. He's lived in Ghana. He's been to France and in Europe a few times. He works internationally. He goes to Senegal and Kenya and stuff. But like he knows he's Nigerian, right? And so he definitely was like not really liking the place at all. So iTuber says at least you got a lot of engagement. So keep making those types of videos. You know, there are people saying it on the funny side, right? Like you got a lot of engagement, keep making these videos. But then there are also people on the other side saying it as if my intent was to get a bunch of engagement. And look, you want to get engagement, but really my goal with this channel is to share value with people, right? So yeah, I'll probably do more content on Nigeria, but it's going to be valuable information for people planning to visit. Just like, you know, what I always do, 10 things I wish I knew before going to any country. I've done it twice for Sierra Leone. I've done it twice for Ghana. I still have to do it for Egypt. I haven't done it yet. I am going to do at least one for Nigeria as well. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying here, but I do want to make sure I'm offering value first, you know? John says, sorry to hear that you had problems, but I still think the place you are talking about is like a 5-star hotel in Ghana. What do you mean? The place I'm talking about in Nigeria would be like a 5-star hotel in Ghana? Not necessarily. I definitely have. So I stayed in an Airbnb that was $80 a day, and I split it between 2 other people in Ghana, and that place was pristine, like everything you could expect from a place. I also spent $20 a day and got something completely different in Ghana as well. Also, you can spend about $100 a night in Ghana, and you can stay at Sun City, and Sun City has all the amenities, high-speed internet, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I would actually have to disagree with you on that, if that's what you're saying. Spear Warrior, you're saying after how long waiting? I know this is from like 30 minutes ago. So were you saying how long waiting to get inside? It was like 30 minutes to get inside the Airbnb. Christabella said, so true. He definitely got some serious engagement. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And obviously it led to much more people being on the live, many new subscribers. For those of you who are new to subscribing to the channel, I want you to know that like I don't spend my time talking about controversies, just to be very clear, right? Like I just wanted to talk about this since this is very recent, and I usually talk about the last week and what's been going on in my life here on the continent. So just be very clear. Most of what I talk about is what it's like to live here, and what are some of the things you need to think about when you're planning to move. Rudy, I feel like I should have read this first. Rudy saying, John, you're clearly delusional about what you're talking about. Get better, not bitter. See, I want us to not be talking about each other. All right. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if this changes anything since hearing what I said. I agree. Nigeria is not perfect, but seriously, you have to be severely ignorant to just go to Lagos and think, oh, it's Nigeria, this is it. That's like me going to New York and saying Nigeria. I think you mean going to New York and saying America or United States, right? I know what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say is New York is not the United States. New York is in the United States. Just like what you're trying to say is Lagos is not Nigeria. Lagos is in Nigeria. Yes, that is true. And that is all known. I agree with you. Lagos is not Nigeria. Yes. I did in the video use it interchangeably when I said, if you want to know what it's like for me here in Nigeria, because I was in Nigeria, but I was in Lagos in particular. I do mention I was in Lagos. I do mention I was in Victoria Island. But every time I reference the country, I reference the country. I didn't always reference Lagos or Victoria Island. I think some people pointed that out. And so they felt as if I was saying all of Nigeria is exactly like Lagos, which there are some better parts, some parts that are not so much better. So it kind of varies. Ms. P saying that's disgusting. I think we're going back to the fridge situation and the trash situation and not cleaning the place before. And yes, all of that. Frank says Nigerians don't want to tell you their own experience in Nigeria. Period. True hurting. EO says that sounds nasty. I would have left immediately. I can't stay in a nasty place. Yeah, I'd already paid $1,400, right? Because you pay ahead of time on Airbnb. So the money had already been out of my pockets. And so I wanted to give it a night to maybe make sure that they would rectify the situation. And so they semi-rectified it. It got better by the next day. Molly says that's shocking behavior and very unprofessional. It creates a bad impression. Yeah, talking about the managers of the Airbnb and all of that. Yes, for sure. Hearts of Glass says Spicy Williams, typical. Come on. Typical Nigerian resorting to insults. I never said anyone insult. Okay. I'm not. Let's not go back and forth. All right. See, I'm trying to keep it civil. Guys. Let's try to keep it civil. Even if someone else is not civil, let's try to keep it civil. This is definitely supposed to be a place for high value conversation, right? That's the goal of this channel and these discussions, right? Makia, yes, she said, sorry to hear this. Yeah, it was not such a great experience, but it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. But I learned from it for sure. But guys, let me just say this again. Let's try to keep this civil. I want to do my best to not be one of those places where I'm feeding the outrage machine just to get clicks and just to get views. Like, I seriously want to offer value, right? Now, if through offering value, it does end in getting more views, getting more clicks, then fine. But my goal here is not to have people have this kind of discourse where they're bashing and insulting each other, right? This is supposed to be a high value platform where we talk about real things and we talk about real issues. And so I want to try our best to try to keep it civil amongst each other. And you guys know I had some reading comprehension issues. So I'm not catching everything people are saying right away until I read it through. So I'm trying to filter through these comments before I post them up. So let's see. Al says, love my Salon brother. Yes, I love my Salon people too. Reigning Zion says, it makes sense. I get it. I'm guessing you're talking about like how I was talking about everything. Okay. Id Emo saying next time stay at a resort. I have other places that I would actually stay. Okay. So this is a conversation that comes up a lot. Molly is saying corruption is sickening. Now, I can't speak to whether or not this corruption has the direct impact on certain things that we had seen as issues, whether that's here in Sierra Leone, whether that's in some places in Ghana, or that's in Nigeria or any other country. We do know that this is a topic of conversation for everyone around the continent and those who are very engaged with what's happening on the continent. But I say that, and I'm going to say this. Most of the countries around the continent in their current form, after being divided the way they are, have not been independent countries for longer than 70 years, right? I think Ghana is one of the oldest in terms of in the current form, right? Based on independence from a European colonizer. And we're talking about 71 years. Can you imagine what England was like at its 71st year in existence, right? We know what it was. It was the Dark Ages, right? Or if you think about, or the Middle Ages, right? The Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, what they call it, when Africans had to teach them math, right? Or when you think about America, the United States in its current state, what it was 70 years into its existence, right? How bad of a country the United States was, right? I mean, they make movies about the wild, wild west, right? Gunslingers and all that kind of stuff, right? And they called it the wild, wild west, right? So think about countries that are 71 years into their existence or less than that, right? Sierra Leone, 61 years. So imagine any country that is now considered a world leader 71 years into their existence. They were all dealing with all kinds of crazy stuff too. So we have to take that into consideration when we're looking at our different African nations. So I can look at these things and say these are challenges, but I can also speak to the fact that I also understand that these are going to be challenges when your country is only 61 years old and you're expected to try to catch up to the world that has colonized you, right? And so that is where you run into situations like corruption, right? So it's going to take a while for us as a continent to get to a place where we can fix some of these challenges. It's just going to take some time. As I mentioned to you guys before, and I've said this before, but I still wouldn't trade it for the world, because can you imagine also being able to buy land 71 years into England's history, or buy land 70 years into America's history, and what that would mean for your next generations to come? And so it's two sides to the same coin, is I guess the phrase that they say, right? Where you have your pros and you have your cons to a country being this early in its existence, right? So you're gonna have a lot of infrastructural challenges and a lot of issues with basic things like certain things like corruption and things like that. But then you also have many advantages by getting in this early, right? It's like getting into a business on the ground floor. Like imagine being at Apple in the early stages, staying at Apple all the way through till now, or Amazon, or being employee number one at Tesla, right? Like right now, you'd be bearing the fruit of your labor, right? So that's the same way you can see Sierra Leone or Ghana or any one of these other countries as they are developing, right? CJG says that's worse than a disaster because I mentioned it was a disaster. That's why I stay at international hotels, no matter the cost. I will not lower my standards to accommodate anyone. So yeah, I mean, this is speaking to the fact that I said because of the experience at the Airbnb was literally a disaster. And because of the cost and everything that happened there, yeah, I think most people would agree. It was a disaster. All right, there are so many comments. You guys are commenting like crazy. I'm trying to get through all of them. The thing is that I'm at 28% on my laptop and I got no power. So I'm about to be out of power. Oh man, mi salon, this country. We have our challenges from time to time. I don't know why the power hasn't come back. Last time I went live, you guys might remember the power went out, but it came right back on because the generator came on. I don't know what's going on with the generator, so I got to go down to security, but I'm gonna have to do that after we finish this live. I can't do it right now while we're on it because I'll be gone for like 15 minutes, and I'm not just gonna leave you guys sitting here watching each other on a live, and if I'm not here. So yeah, I'll do that afterwards. So hopefully the next time I go live next Monday, we can have a full conversation and go as long as we want and not have to deal with the potential for my laptop dying, because we are very close to that process, that happening. Okay, let me try to get to as many different comments as I can, considering how low on time we are. David McCrae says, your live is popping off today. Did you get into trouble? Mr. McCrae, I did get into, I guess you could say I got into some trouble. I ruffled some feathers. So that's what we're talking about today. David, yeah. So yeah, David's been following the channel for some time. So he knows that this is by far the most engagement we've had on the channel in a long time. So yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it was somewhat of a controversial topic, which is why so many people are here. Okay, Kid Connect says, you're being honest. I appreciate you sharing your views without outwardly disparaging the country. My people will be okay. They just sensitive. Okay, fair. See, I like that certain people can be objective. I know it's hard to hear about your country, but like, don't just watch the video assuming why somebody is saying what they're saying. Try to listen to what the person is saying and try to get an understanding for that person, right? like if you're hearing me today, it's probably pretty clear that like I don't really, I mean, I care about the views. Let's be real. Of course, I care about the views, but like I'm not doing this for the views. It's pretty clear that I'm not, right? I'm here to give value to people. So I think a ton of people may have seen that now that they've been able to join the live and get a chance to hear from me live and hear how I'm approaching this conversation. But when it comes to putting together a vlog, I'm just mentioning my experience in the vlog. And by the way, I am going to mention this experience in the vlog that I do for this week, that the power went out and I've had some other challenges here. So I'm going to mention some of the other challenges that I've had here while I was here in Sierra Leone, because I have to mention it, right? Like I'm not going to not mention some of these other challenges as well. They have to be discussed, because if someone is planning to come here or move here, you have to know this can happen. All right. Okay, so Esoft Studio says Nigeria had been the guinea pig of most YouTubers. Everyone wants to trend, most trash the country, especially those Ghanaians, and it needs to stop. I can't really speak to who does that and who doesn't. I actually did not do any research on any YouTubers who had gone to Nigeria or any YouTubers in Nigeria. I didn't watch one video. I have seen Nigerian YouTubers who live in Ghana, because they showed up in my feed, but I've never seen anyone who has gone to Nigeria and done content. So I want you guys to be very clear, that was not my intent. I didn't go there to bash the country. So GA, Mr. President, is saying you didn't have someone to assist or advise you. That was the issue you had. Every hotel and Superhost Airbnb have a backup generator. No, this was a Superhost. I was just saying, this was a Superhost. And they do have a generator at Federal Housing. They just decided that they didn't want to put fuel in the generator. So I mentioned that earlier in the live. And I also mentioned that I had 5 people assist me. The 5th person I didn't mention earlier because that's my ex and she's Sierra Leonean living in Ghana, but 4 Nigerians did advise me. So I did have advice. Wealthy Merchant says, ignore them. Didn't, oh, come on. I'm not gonna leave that up. Come on, Wealthy Merchant. Spirit Warrior said, living in California, I've experienced light outages. And oh yes, there's been a few. And also Texas has had them during many snowstorms as well, because they're not on the main US grid. They have their own infrastructure. And Texas couldn't figure it out on their own either, in a country like the United States where everyone else has grid systems. So if they can't figure it out, you can expect that there are going to be other countries in areas that size with 20 times the population, which is going to have some of those same issues. Wayne Ellington, hey Joe, I'm looking to explore living in Africa for similar reasons to yourself. Good. I hope that this channel provides insight to what that could be like, and I hope that I can inspire and help give some insight into what you can expect if you were to do that. CJG says, we welcome your truth always. Well, thank you. Serafina says, we all share our frustrations about our individual countries. I guess some of us can't take hearing it from a stranger. Come on, one love Africa. Yes, one love for sure. Let's try to keep it that way. Let me see. Akwesi asks if I can try as much as possible to expose the ills of every country you visit. Okay, I will share my experience. I haven't gotten to a place yet where I'm talking about the ills of every country unless I can talk about solutions to some of those problems. I don't want to just bash countries, right? Which I know would get me tons of views and make me hit all of my YouTube and revenue goals, but that's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is talk about my experience. And if my experience aligns with some of the ills of those countries, then it will come up in those discussions. But I absolutely will talk about my experience, but I won't make it a point to just talk about the ills. However, certain topics I am having experts on to talk about. I mentioned this the other week. We talked about female circumcision, how prevalent it is in certain areas in West Africa. And I have an expert that I am going to be interviewing about this. In fact, I did do an interview with her about what she's doing with the Brahma Peking Foundation. And so, and what she also does in terms of sexual reproductive health in Sierra Leone. And so I definitely want to have her talk about, we're going to have this topic. We're going to have this topic. But I'm in no position to discuss this. I mean, I was at one point a medical professional. Many people may not know that. I was at one point a medical professional, but I was not highly trained. I was just a nurse's aide. So I don't have enough information to be able to talk about this. So I do want to have someone who's an expert who has not only the book knowledge, but the experience and also the personal family experience, knowing people who've gone through it, who can really speak about it. So I will have some of these kinds of conversations, but I want to make it productive so that people are learning from it, not just like bashing issues that each country has. But I will talk about some of the challenges for sure. Love Niger says that's too much money. Yes, it was too much money. $102 a night, $1,400 for 2 weeks. That was why I had the expectations that I did for what it should be. Okay. Okay, Love Niger says, your titles are clickbait, but if you actually watch it, you know that there's no need to think you are bashing anyone or Nigeria. So yeah, so this is the challenge with the platform that is YouTube, right? You know, when it comes to titling videos and doing thumbnails, right? Let me be clear on what the definition of clickbait is, because I'm someone who works in advertising, and so I know what it's like to put advertising on sites that do clickbait. Clickbait is when you are saying something in the title or in the description that has nothing to do with what's in the video, right? And so, you know, what I do is I just use superlatives or language that catches people's attention, but it's still talking about the things that happen, right? So I could have said, my not so great Airbnb experience, right? Or I can say my bad experience in Nigeria, because it was a bad experience in Nigeria, right? Now I could have said my not so great Airbnb experience in Lagos, but that's too long. And so it has to be condensed. But also the part of it was leaving Ghana to go to Nigeria. So that's what I said in the comment, or for today's video, right? I guess I could have said, join me on my live where I explain in detail everything I meant, what I said in my last vlog. Or I can say why so many Nigerians hate me, right? Because there was a lot of hate in the comments. Like I said, there's 900 plus comments on that video, and probably about 100 of them were just pure hatred, and many other them were trying to be constructive, and some of it was just people fighting each other. But YouTube, actually, there was about 60 or so comments that YouTube blocked from actually going live because of profanity and the things that were said. I decided to approve those comments and let them show up on the channel, because I prefer for everyone to be able to see how people are thinking and to see what the discussion is, instead of letting those be hidden, so people can stand by their comments if they decide to have those comments. Because I'm also not offended by what people think of me, to be honest. I'm not. The only people who I worry about what they think of me is my mother. I do worry about what my mother thinks of me, and a few other people. I worry about what they think of me. But other than that, I really don't care what people think of me. So, okay, so some of these comments are over 40 minutes old. So I'm trying to get to some of what you guys are saying here in the interest of time. We're running out of time. Okay, so Yari James says, what does it take to get Sierra Leone citizenship? All right, so there are two different ways that it can happen. If you, like myself, have two parents, or at least one parent that was born in Sierra Leone, you can get your dual citizenship. You just have to show a foreign document that says their country of birth is Sierra Leone, right? So I used my parents' marriage certificate that said both of their country of birth was Sierra Leone. That was what I used to get my dual citizenship here, and I was able to get my citizenship, but you have to be here. Also, you can do the African ancestry test. And Spear Warrior, I feel like maybe you or somebody else can help me answer this. I don't know what percentage of your lineage has to be Sierra Leonean, but a certain percentage has to be, and then you can come here and apply for your citizenship as well. And so those are the two different ways that you can become a Sierra Leonean citizen. You can also marry a Sierra Leonean, but that takes a little bit more time. And you can also live in Sierra Leone for a period of time, but also it takes more time. But if you have Sierra Leonean descent, then you can get your dual citizenship here. So Victor says, go back to your country. Okay, I will, is the mentality I have, inspired by you. You're also the reason I will be going to countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and Sierra Leone. So just so you guys know, Victor is Dominican, right? Victor, you're Dominican. I'm pretty sure you're Dominican. And so, yeah, I mean, look, being in the States, you guys don't know how many times I heard, go back to your country, go back to where you come from. And it used to be an insult to me when I was a kid because I wanted so much to be seen as an American. My name is a little different. You know, people call me by my middle name in my family. And so my middle name is Bemba, and it's spelled B-A-I-M-B-A. And, you know, Bambi was out at the time. By 96, Lion King was out with Simba. So like Bambi, Simba. So there's all kinds of jokes about being an African booty scratcher and Jungle Bunny and African Bush Boogie and all these different names. And as a kid, I remember hearing, go back to where you came from. And the way you heard people talk about it, it made me think, I don't want to go back there, you know, and I don't want to be seen as different. I want to be one of you guys. Luckily, I grew up and changed that. And I realized that there's power in knowing where you come from. And there's power in being able to leave to go to somewhere else, have citizenship there, and to be able to establish a life there and not only have all your eggs in one basket. And so anybody who's an immigrant, because you know, regardless of the administration, illegal immigrants are treated in certain ways, especially illegal immigrants of color. You have people who are dreamers, you know, or DACA recipients, right? Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. I have a friend right now who's Nigerian. She was born in Nigeria. Her and two of her brothers were born in Nigeria. She's in limbo right now as a US citizen. She works for very high-end companies in the US. She's got a really good education. She's paid a shit ton of taxes in the last 15 years since being out of college. She's not a US citizen because her parents overstayed their visa. And she stayed here because this is the country she knows. She's been here, I think, since she was 4, right? And so the idea of like the whole go back to where you come from, I said, okay, I will. And I did. And so to me, I think that a lot more people should take on that viewpoint and try to make it so that where they come from can have all the creature comforts and advance to the place to where whoever in their lineage escaped to, right? Like Africa at one point as a continent was the dominant world power. The many tribes in Africa were the dominant world powers, right? The richest person in human history, as everybody knows, is Mansa Musa, right? Because of the trading all around the world of salt and gold, etc., right? And so, you know, we have somebody like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk who trade back and forth as the richest person in the world, and they, I think, are at the $200 billion mark. Mansa Musa in today's dollars is over $400 billion net worth. I think maybe Elon got up to 300 billion, but still much less than the $400 billion net worth that Mansa Musa had. African civilizations, and look at the Egyptian civilizations of past, right? I mean, the continent of Africa has at one point in time been a world leader as a continent, many different tribes within the continent. And I think that because of the natural resources, the human resources, and the ingenuity that you have on the continent, that was a big part of the reason why I wanted to come back here. And Latin America has a lot of that same too. And so I encourage you all, wherever you're a diaspora from, if you're from Latin America, if you're from Africa, if you're from Asia, wherever you are, if you can diversify your interest, do it. America is not always going to be the dominant world power. As a matter of fact, right now, most economists are saying that America is the number 2, maybe even number 3. So knowing those things to be true, you want to diversify your interest, diversify your financial assets, all of those things. And beyond all of that too, I want to put this politely and in the right way, because I don't want to seem like I hate America, because I definitely find value in that country, and I've gotten a lot from that country. But there is at least 30% of that country that don't want us there. right? So, some of those people tend to find their ways into power and into different positions, and they make it a point to ensure that some of us have challenges there. And so for me, it makes sense for me to focus on being here. Anyway, so Victor says, so this channel is completely part of the mission. Oh, absolutely. The reason why I did this channel is a part of the overall mission, for sure. One, it's to help build my personal profile, but it's also to encourage other people to make the move, because I can't do it by myself, not even close to do it by myself. I want to make as big of an impact as I can on this world. I start right now by doing it with each person I meet one-on-one. I try to positively impact every person I meet that I've ever met and that I continue to meet as much as I can through my interactions. And YouTube is allowing me to do that at a broader scale. All right, I am at 13% power right now, and this is a really good conversation. We can keep going, but my laptop is gonna die soon, and I don't know what's going on, but the power is not back. And I heard my next door neighbor open their door, so they don't have power either. I'm sure they went to go check to see what happened, but I don't have an update for you guys, so I don't know what's happening. I guess Spicy's getting on some people's nerves here, and people have some comments for Spicy, but I'm not gonna put those up. Okay, so Sly Moore is saying, don't do this. No Nigerians hate you. The first time I saw your video, I was hooked to your channel. Stop saying hate. I love you, brother. I can't wait to meet up with you in Lagos. Listen, clearly you don't, and I appreciate that you don't hate me. But listen, if you read some of those comments, go back and read some of those comments, you will see there are some people who do, at least it seems like they do. Maybe they don't, but from their comments, it does seem like they do. And I'm not offended by it. Like I said, it's based on their opinions and what they saw. So, but I would definitely say that I would have to disagree with you on that, my brother. There are some people who I would say the word hate describes how they feel about me without having watched the video. So I would have to disagree with you on that. Okay. We are running out of time. I wish I could go longer because I can go for another 30 minutes at least, but I'm at 11%. I went from 13 to 11%. So it exponentially decreases in battery life once I get under 20%, it just jumps back down. So it's at 11%. It's probably going to drop down to 1% in like 5 minutes. So let me try to answer as many questions as I can and respond to as many comments as I can. All right. So Okimut says you're responding to trolls. I'm trying not to respond to trolls. So Badega, I guess is how you pronounce it, or is it Gadega or Badega? Let me know. You're saying you've already done one review on Nigeria. Make sure the second one is not negative. So remember, that wasn't a review of Nigeria. That was a vlog of my experience, right? So that wasn't a review of Nigeria. So the part 2 of that vlog was about the food that I ate. There was a lot of good food in my experience. So check out that second video so you can see it. So you know what's up. Now I did do a live about my first impression, first days, but I also talked about it on the other lives subsequent to that, like the second live I did while I was in Nigeria, and talked about my breakup, and then I talked about what else I think about what I had been experiencing in Nigeria overall, and it was mostly positive. All right, let's see, what else do we got? I want to make sure that I address other people. Okay, that was strange. I got kicked out of the studio. Can you guys still hear me? It was weird. I just all of a sudden got kicked out of the studio. But let me know if you guys can still hear me. Oh, so Kamal said that's all, folks. No, it didn't die yet, but it's about to. I'm at 9% now. I'm just gonna keep giving you updates on what percentage my battery life is at. I'm at 9%. All right. All right. I'm just trying to find some other comments to look at. Okay. So, but African Americans complain about discrimination in America, but complain about everything when they visit Africa. Yeah, I mean, I think both can be true, right? Like you can see discrimination in the US, but then also describe challenges that happen in Africa too whenever you go to a specific country. I don't think that they're polar opposites, right? They're mutually exclusive, right? What, is that the phrase I'm looking for? Anyway, both can be true. Both can be true. All right. So Colleen is asking, do you have power or light over there now? The answer is no. No, I do not. If I did, I wouldn't have to jump off soon because I'm at 8% battery life right now. Unfortunately, I do not have power and I don't know what's going on. I need to go down to security and see why they haven't turned on the generator yet, because usually the generator goes on within seconds of power going out. I just got a message from my own Mac that says your Mac will sleep soon unless plugged into a power outlet. I'm at 7%. So it will be That's All, folks, in just a moment. Eddie George is saying, please stop. No Nigerians hate you. Okay, well, listen, I love that you guys that are here don't hate me. I love to hear that. That's good to hear. But some of those people in those comments did say they hate me. Okay, so you guys can still hear me. I am currently in Sierra Leone. Yes, I am not. So I think if the question was, is there light right now in Nigeria? I'm actually in Sierra Leone right now. So the light issues that I'm talking about right this current moment is in Sierra Leone. So yeah, it's a light issue. We having a light issue right now. But the issue here more is that the generator is not on, which I don't know why, because this estate is one of those estates that usually has the generators on. All right, cool. Well, before I'm forced off the live, I'm gonna end the live here. So I hope that this added more clarity for those of you who were here to hear what happened, and and to get more of an understanding of who I am and what I'm about. Hopefully this added more clarity. I hope for those of you who are interested in potentially moving to West Africa, this gives you more of an understanding of what to expect and how to think about things when you're planning to come visit or if you want to move. We'll talk a lot more about these different things as well. Yeah, so a couple more comments really quickly. Blessing says, thank you for the criticism. No hard feelings, no problem. Al says, or AI, I'm not sure if it's Al or AI. If you go outside Freetown, they got electric. Yeah, apparently Bo has better power sometimes than Freetown does, which I don't know how that is, but apparently it's true. Kamal says, good times, bro. Keep it up. Thank you. So yeah, thanks guys for engaging in this discourse with me and staying on as long as you did with no light. It's dark. It is dark here, so it's probably not ideal to watch somebody with a cell phone light trying to keep this live going. But I appreciate you guys all joining and staying on as long as you did. Thanks again for watching. And again, make sure you comment, subscribe. I want to see you guys in the comments when this gets recasted on YouTube. Go ahead and comment there. Make sure you share this with anybody who you saw commenting on that last video and was, giving me all that hate that I'm talking about right now. Share the link with them so that they know that they can get an idea of what actually is going on and what I was talking about. And all of you also, by the way, there's plenty more content to come. I'm posting on Thursday this week, Saturday or Sunday this week as well. So thanks again for watching. Make sure you share this with your friend. Share this with your friends. And yeah, I'll see you guys all on the next video. Wait, sorry. That's what I want to do. All right, bye guys.